This tutorial explains how Monarch models can be turned into text converter data extraction projects quickly and accurately. We'll examine an automated process for converting XMOD models, and go over the similarities and differences of text converter and Monarch data extraction techniques. We also will inspect an automated verification method ensuring the accuracy of converted projects. Please note that our SiMX team will provide all necessary assistance to help you with the conversion process. Let's start with the automated conversion. Please make sure that you have the latest version of TextConverter installed on your computer, and you have a copy of the XMOD to TC project file. In case you do not have them yet, the software and the project can be downloaded from here. Let's open the conversion project. We can load project files by dragging them into TextConverter from Windows Explorer. We can also use the File dialog from the toolbar, or the File menu. Or we can pick a project up from the list of recent projects. Okay, we are ready to convert XMOD models. Let's load our first Monarch file. We can load input files by dragging them into TextConverter from Windows Explorer. Or we can use the File dialog from the toolbar, or the File menu. Or just pick an input file up from the list of recent input files. The input file is loaded. Now we can run the process by clicking the running man on the toolbar. A text converter project corresponding to this XMOD model is created in the folder where the original Monarch file is located. We can run all Monarch files through the conversion process at once. Let's turn the batch processing on. Set the location of XMOD models. Set the file filter to XMOD file extension, and run the process. Text converter projects corresponding to Monarch models are created at the same location as the original Monarch files. We need to make sure that text converter data extraction results are identical to the results from Monarch models. Let's run one of the created text converter projects. I am opening up a project and loading a corresponding input file. We need to specify the output location by clicking this button and using the File dialog, or we can just put an output path into this edit box. The input and the output are set. Let's run the process. The output from TextConverter is created. We also have an original Monarch output file here. Let's compare them. I'm opening up our scripting component and loading the comparison project. This project compares two files, or database tables, and shows all encountered discrepancies. We just need to specify sources for the comparison. We can copy a path and paste it in. Or we can use the File or Database Connectivity dialog. Or we can drop a file from Windows Explorer. Now we set the output folder for the comparison results, and run the process. The comparison results are saved to the output folder, with the same name as the Monarch input file. Let's look inside. The Summary tab shows high-level results, the number of output records, discrepancies of the field names, and the number of value discrepancies. The Data tab shows comparison details. Only output records with discrepancies are shown here. To see all records, you can click Ctrl+A, go to the Format section, and select Unhide Rows from the Hide and Unhide menu. You can also use the Hide Valid Project option to control whether all records should be shown. This is how the comparison results look when discrepancies are found. This comparison tool will put your mind at ease when in doubt whether text converter projects create identical results to the former Monarch models. Now let's go over the basic guidelines explaining how to re-implement Monarch projects using TextConverter. TextConverter has much richer capabilities than Monarch, therefore Monarch techniques can fit easily into the TextConverter data extraction paradigm. We will use this report sample and the existing Monarch project to learn how to map Monarch methodology to TextConverter's one. Let's open the same input file in TextConverter. The Monarch model has 2 append templates and 1 detail. TextConverter detailed templates are similar to Monarch's. They are used for extracting detailed data, which is typically the lowest, or the innermost level of information. One detailed template is always there, as you cannot do much without at least one detailed template. Let's set it up by clicking any sample line with the right mouse button, and selecting this option from the menu. As you can see, this setup is easier than the Monarch approach, where fields are added one by one. The default field separator is 2 or more spaces, so fields with just 1 space in between were not separated. We can divide them by splitting the existing fields. You can adjust fields' widths and positions as needed by dragging fields' edges. The Monarch's template has a trap. But TextConverter does not really need it. The setup is already accurate, because it considers data types and field positions when matching input data. We will add a trap, anyway, just to show how it is implemented by TextConverter filters. I'm adding the / character to the include filter of the first field. Include filters require that the field should contain filters value. Exclude filters, on the contrary, require that the field should not have the specified value. Filters can be defined on the field, template, and file levels. They can be strings, a combination of strings, and string patterns. This makes filters a powerful, but still easy to use tool for defining traps, tags, ranges, and skip conditions. Let's continue with converting the rest of the Monarch model. We have 2 append templates here. Monarch append templates are grabbing data from higher report levels and populating them down to detailed records. TextConverter offers flat headers to support such behavior. Let's create a flat template from the context menu. You can also use the toolbar to add and manipulate templates. Now we will examine several ways of adding fields to a template. First is the positional, or the tabular setup. I am selecting a sample line, and clicking Set up tabular fields from the selected line menu item. The fields are created according to the field delimiter property. We can add more fields by splitting the existing ones. Let's try 1 or more spaces option as an alternative. The transaction description got split into 2 fields. We can join them by highlighting both fields and clicking the Merge Fields menu item. The template has more fields than we need in the output, but that's okay. Unlike Monarch, TextConverter input fields do not have to correspond one-to-one to the output fields. We can output only the fields we need. Dragging input fields to the output dictionary creates input-output connections. They define the flow of extracted data from input fields to the output. Connections can be created and deleted using these connect and disconnect buttons. The input-output connectivity helps to provide the visual feedback when verifying the accuracy of data extraction. Clicking on an input segment highlights the corresponding piece of extracted data, and vice versa. You can click on an output cell and see where the data is coming from. We still have 1 more template to set up. Let's add another template and learn another way to add input fields. I am highlighting the field label, or a tag, and adding an input field by this tag. The value for the field is picked up automatically. We can modify the data extraction parameters using the input field property editor. This way of using input fields is called tag-based, as opposed to tabular, or positional setup. Let's add the field to the output dictionary. The final step of converting a Monarch model is to make sure that our output structure is identical to the structure of the Monarch's output file. The easiest way to accomplish that is to delete all output fields and set the Monarch's output file as the output destination. The output dictionary is initialized. Now we need to reconnect input and output fields. I'm selecting input and output fields and clicking the connect button. Let's change the output format for the date. And fast forward to the last field. The project is ready. Let's rename the output file and run the process. Now TextConverter and Monarch output files can be compared using the comparison tool we have discussed in the beginning of this tutorial. You could see that TextConverter templates were accurate, even without using traps. Still, using trap-like restrictions can be useful in many cases. TextConverter uses regular expressions in place of Monarch traps. Here is a quick mapping of Monarch traps to TextConverter regular expressions. Regular expressions are more powerful and flexible than Monarch traps. They can be as simple as constant strings, or as sophisticated as complex pattern definitions. Here is a short but comprehensive regular expressions reference. Let's take a look at two other Monarch template types, page header and group footer. In TextConverter, page headers are not different from any other types of headers. Use flat templates with header option turned on to extract fields which appear before the detailed data. We will use this invoice file as an example. Let me set the detailed template and add a flat header. These top-level fields are positioned before the detailed data, so they naturally belong to the header. Let's add them to the template. These two fields are following the detailed data, so they belong to a footer. We can add another flat template and make it a footer. However, TextConverter allows the same template to be a header and a footer at the same time. Let's add the fields to the existing template as tag-based fields and add the footer option to the template properties. The footer fields are extracted correctly. This concludes our tutorial explaining how Monarch models can be turned into TextConverter projects quickly and accurately. All necessary resources are located here. Please keep in mind that we will be happy to convert Monarch project to TextConverter for you. Please email any questions and requests to me at andre@simx.com. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial.